quite knows why he died. They said it was heart failure. Why did his heart stop? No one knows. He was an alcoholic, no question. He was on all kinds of prescription drugs. Toby Marshall, the character you see in the film, is a real man who had his medical degree for $25 at a gas station. You know, a quack, a liar. But somebody who turned up in his life and said, I can help you, I know how to deal with drink, and prescribed these Mickey Finn pills which were used to sedate circus animals. And so the effect on your heart, I mean, who knows what the physical effect on your heart is. But one thing is clear to me, which is that he had the strength of spirit to be completely authentic. Want to take the myth down from the pedestal and show the man. And it was, there's one amazing quote by an old member of his band, called Danny Hill, who in a documentary about Hank Williams says, you know, the thing is, legends don't know they're legends when they're being made. They just folks. And I love that I was basically, I'm playing an icon, obviously, someone who is part of the landscape of American music, but he didn't know that. He was just 23 years old, trying to get on the radio. Worked with Rodney Crowell.
Rodney Crowell,
yeah.
Who's like a major country star.
Amazing, he's Nashville royalty. He's an extraordinary artist and songwriter in his own right. And he saw Hank Williams for real on his father's shoulders at the age of 2, which is one of his earliest memories, and is reinforced as a memory by his father, because Hank was his dad's hero. So he cared about this. And I lived at his house in just outside Nashville for about 5 weeks, and we played and sang for about 10 hours every single day. And I went down to the river, to watch the fish swim by. I went down to the river, so lonesome I wanted to die, oh Lord. It's the chorus where he goes up and down, and so this is Long Run Lonesome Blues. She's a low home, go home, and I am a low home, some blue. Learned is the commitment as a singer and a songwriter is extraordinary. And I was, no matter my technical practice or my technical ability in modulating my own baritone to sound like his tenor, to change vowel sounds so it sounded like a 40s Alabama dialect, it was never going to go over unless I committed to feeling the feelings he's writing about in my own spirit, in my own soul. And that as we worked on the songs, I realized they were only going to work if it was a commitment of like, this is what loneliness feels like in me. This is what it feels like for me to sing this song, or for a song like Move It On Over, where he's mischievous and he's been caught out and he's in the doghouse. That was my wit and my playfulness, but it had to be very, very authentic. The challenge of kind of conquering this music and climbing the mountain, the pleasure that I had from shooting it, because we started the film kind of in reverse order. I did the end at the beginning, so I got very, very sick and sad, and I died. And then it's always a good way to start. And then we went back in time and got married. And then sang for 10 days. For whatever reason, we shot at the Shreveport Municipal Auditorium in Louisiana, and we only had the location for 2 days. So I did 4 numbers in 2 days. We did like Lovesick Blues in the morning, and then Why Don't You Love Me in the afternoon, with a quick break for a ham sandwich and a flip forward of 7 years. And the crew, a film crew, you know this. For film crews everywhere. They were so excited because the music was so it's such amazing music, and everybody's in such great spirits because there was music everywhere. And every time we called action, we got to play music and shoot a musical number, and that was really energetic, and it gave us all energy after the tragedy and the mournfulness at the end. Well, he clearly loved women.
Well, you know, his mother and, you know,
Yeah,
the wife.
actually, I talked about it with Mark often, which is that I think women were the key figures in his life. I don't think particularly I think he trusted men. He trusted very few. Fred Rose, he trusted because he recognized Fred Rose as an extraordinary songwriter and music publisher. But the people who really influenced him certainly were the women. His mother Lily, clearly a powerhouse, and Audrey, and to some extent Lily and Audrey competed for influence in his mind. And that's what he wrote about. And I think, you know, a lot of the people in his life, the men in his life said, you know, to some extent he was unknowable, that there was a mystery, an enigma that he had. And he look at you as if to say, you know who I am, Hoss? I'm the greatest singer in the world. And if you didn't know that, I'm about to prove it to you. So he had a real charisma and a real power in person. And because between action and cut, it has to be real. And if it isn't, what are we doing? You know, what are we all doing here? And so you have to go there. You have to go to wherever it is that he's at. And I knew that it was going to be sort of emotionally challenging because he was so dark, especially his sort of mournfulness and melancholy and his obsession with death. So I went in to sort of consider all of that. But the good thing is that I made a decision about it. I knew I was not going to replicate his physical demise in the same way. And you know, he clearly was very, very unwell. And there's no way I was going to drink my way through this shoot.
Very method.
And ill-advised. I think you would all have found it very uninteresting to watch. But I think it's very dangerous. You know, it's very dangerous when you if actors embrace that. I think I wouldn't be sitting here today. So I'm lucky that I think I don't have that proclivity. I don't think I'm an addictive personality anyway. I possibly am. I'm yet to find out. But I tried to. I actually just tried to keep moving. I found myself running a lot. I knew I had to stay lean. I ran a huge amount because there is a responsibility when you're playing a real person to look like that person. And anyone who's played a figure from history understands that. And so I knew I had to drop a bit of weight, and I chose to run a lot. But also the running was kind of meditative, and it enabled me to be lean enough to act. Fred. Thank you. Yeah, it was. That's why I wanted to do it. Music's a huge part of my life. There's an extraordinary quote by the Renaissance essayist called Walter Pater, who said, "All art aspires to the condition of music." Is that music is almost the most immediate art form, and I love soundtracks. It's part of the reason I love cinema. I've always the synthesis of image and sound is something that I've always found very appealing, and have used it as an actor. So part of the appeal of doing this, parrot.
What was?
It really was very different because I've always been able to impersonate people, and it's always been something I've instinctively done. And I enjoy it. I've always enjoyed. I mean, used to have, as a kid, I had a double tape deck ghetto blaster, and I would record my own radio show for an audience of one, where I would do all the voices, and they were from all different parts of the United Kingdom. The weather girl was from Northern Ireland. Do it? Tomorrow you'll be expecting some rain in the southeast and a few cloudy skies, but it should clear up a little bit towards the early afternoon. To your point, I knew that the 40s Alabama was going to be very specific, and I really loved delving into all the extant surviving audio recordings of Hank. There are so many radio shows. To some extent, he's putting on a persona in the same way that talk show hosts like Jimmy Kimmel and Jimmy Fallon, they have a persona, I guess, as a host, and then who they are at home is probably very different. So I had to be careful about just taking that one sound. The albums of Luke the Drifter, this alter ego that he had, where he released his B-sides, that was very helpful. But it was just relentless practice, and it took me a while. But once I locked on